Aloha! Welcome to this walkthrough where I'm just going to give you a brief overview of what to expect after purchasing the template, give you a little bit of overview of all the tabs, making sure you're aware of everything that is included in this template. So first thing you'll notice is you'll have a tab called How to Use. Watch out for the version that you're on because we'll be updating it every single month or everything. There's a new update or some feedback. There's going to be in every update. So we'll be sending out an email whenever there's an update, of course. Now there's 7 tabs that you'll have to be working with and 7 things that you'll be looking at. So the first one is the starting position. So every time you'll see as well, you can click towards each position, but there's 7 things that we're going to walk through. And in the first How to Use, we're kind of briefly explaining like how to use, what is to expect, what are the things that you need to fill in, but then we'll be walking through every single tab. So the starting position, and as we like to call them, is where you start the race. So this is basically all the information you need to know and gather from your company. If you don't have those metrics, you need to go walk out and have conversation around those metrics with the CFO, CEO, any person that basically needs to understand these metrics. This is where you need to go on a hunt. So this is already an overview, and we put them into 4 different categories. The first one is fixed field. So this is something you can't touch. This is locked. You won't be able to change it. There's going to be an input field. So this is something you need to input. The red ones are the things that you need to make sure that you have the numbers on. So if you're wondering, what do I need to really fill in? It's the red ones. The yellow ones is an optional field. This is something if you really want to go deeper, dive deep, go even further in your business plan or in your model, you can fill them in as an optional, but it's not mandatory to make the run, to make sure that you have a proper model running. The green ones you don't touch. The green ones are calculated fields. You don't actually have to touch them. They will auto-calculate whenever you fill in the red ones or the yellow ones, basically. So let's go through the first tab. So here is really, okay, what's your company? What's your starting month? So keep in mind, whenever you're starting your month, so for example, if you put it on the 4th, that's going to be April. The whole model is going to change starting from April. So if you want to run a business case for, 2 years, starting from April 2023, just modify it here and your model will automatically change. I'm going to go to marketing channels, for example, scroll down. You'll see everything starts from April 23 right now. And so depending on when you want to start your business case, just fill it in here and you're going to be able to adapt it. There's a few things as well. You need to understand what's your plan. So for example, if you write basic, but it could be for you, could be like, starter or something like that. This will automatically change everywhere in the sheet. So it goes all the way from here, starter, but also in the chart building, everything will be automatically adapted in order to reflect your business, basically. Just going to put it back because that's a real sheet. So I'm just going to make sure that people download it the correct way. And then of course, add your pricing plans. You can add multiple pricing plans to make it a little bit more complicated, but most SaaS business have around 3. So we start with 3. So this is basically the tab where you're going to fill in all of your data from your company, basically the starting position. So this is the data, and look at the red fields, the ones that you really need. Then of course, we move into tab number 2. The tab number 2 is once you have all that data, you need to understand where do you want to go. So this is mostly when you have conversation with the CEO, or if you're the CEO, this is you having conversation with you and your team on what's the status quo. So basically, where are you at? I'm giving some examples as well, but some people, fill it in where you want to go. So this is status quo. And then the big hairy goals. So I like to start from, okay, what's the starting position? Then what's the status quo? Where are we at right now? And where do we want to go in a few years' time? Maybe that's 1, 2, 3, 4 years. So what's the big hairy goal vision that we want to go? And also, I like to add why. Why is that? Why do we want to achieve that? What's the reasoning behind that? Because sometimes big hairy goals, they need to have a certain reasoning in order to be achieved. And just asking yourself the question, why you want to get there. This could be because, for example, there's a new regulation coming out in the market by 2025, and you need to make sure you cover your territory. All of those things need to be in that place. So once you're aligned on the big hairy goals, I'm adding 1, 2, but you can add as many as you like, because from there, we're going to start running some calculations. We need to understand, okay, if you want to be in 9 markets, if you want to get to 1 million trials or 500,000 trials per month, okay, what do we want to do? How do we get there, basically? The second one is quite optional, but I'd really like to run an exercise, is to align on the definitions, basically. I see so many companies that don't even know what the definition is of a free trial, of a marketing qualified lead, of a free trial, a lead, for example. So some people will put in the big hairy goals, we want to have 5,000 leads. Okay, what does that mean? What is a lead? What is the definition of a lead for you? Who's the owner of that? Which tool are you reporting from? So what's your source of truth and how are you reporting this? And then add some notes, basically. Add some notes on, this is, for example, somebody that downloaded the webinar but didn't do X, Y, Z, basically. So this is an exercise. It's an optional one, but I highly recommend it just to get your whole team on the same page and also understand the above. Like if somebody talks about a free trial, what does that mean? Does that also include a demo? Is that a lead as well? Or is that just a free trial where you want to have just free trials? We don't care about the demo books. So this is something you need to align on before setting out your big, hairy goal. Now, going to the marketing channels. So this is the same structure as well. Fixed fields, input fields, optional, calculated fields. This is where we are going to go to defining the channels. Like what's the channels that we want to bring in order to achieve this? What's the marketing channels? Because you can have multiple channels like partners, resellers, all of those things. You could include it, but it's now not included in this template, but you can always add it and run the calculation as well with these things. So here you can have organic and direct. You can add Google ads, Facebook ads, paid social, whatever you want to call it. I have a tab also, it's called Other. Some people will have Capterra, G2 Crowd. Think about all the other channels that you can add, and you can add as much as you like, basically. But for now, we're just going from 4 in order to run the calculation. From there, we're going to look at the monthly visitors, so the monthly active visitors that you're going to be working at. And just on the last 3 months, just to get an average. If you want to, just do 6 months and use that as an average because you have so much peaks in your acquisition, that's also fine. This is just basically to get an average on what's going on, just to make some projections happening from there. And this is where we're going to ask all of these questions. Which source are people coming from? What's the budgets per marketing source? And from there, you want to make some projections for 2 years. So for us, we try to look at things for 2 years. You can always add 3 or 4, but we've seen that 1 year is too short and 2 years is like the exact sweet spot to run a business case, because you want to try to think long term. But of course, in 3-4 years, there's a lot of things that can happen. So for us, we like to run business cases for 2 years, but you can always just call it 1 year and just, don't look at the data of 2024 or, of 1 year or 2 years. That's up to you, basically. Here, we're going to run some automatic calculations on what the averages are. 3 free trials, visitor to free trial ratios. So this is going to give you the ratios, the cost per free trial based on the input that you're giving, but also on the projections that you're going to make, basically. And from there, this is going to be fully automated. So as you've seen, we started from April 2023, which we adapted in a starting position, basically. You'll also see it links back to the starting position. And so based on that, it's going to give you the full plan automatically, basically. Going into organic and traffic, paid social, all the channels you defined. If you change these, this will automatically change as well. So if you call something Facebook ads, you can just call it Facebook ads and it will look into there. And it will give you a breakdown per month, how many free trials, how many visitors are coming in, how many acquisitions. So giving you a summary of where are these free trials coming from, where are the monthly visitors coming from. All of these things will be automatically calculated. And also if you go all the way to the back, you'll see, for example, this is going to be automatically pulled, basically. So if you adapt something in tab 3, it's going to automatically also give you an idea on, okay, how much does that reflect in my dashboards? How does that look like? How much growth do I have? So you can play around with those. You can play around with, okay, what if I had a 240,000 budget? Or what would I have if I have 200,000 budget? Where will we end at the end of the 2 years, basically? So these are interesting things that you can play around with. If you would say, hey, you know what? We have, instead of 120, we have, 140, 150. What would that mean? What would cost per lead be? All of those things can be adapted. Same thing for tab 4. So this is basically where we run into staff and hiring, basically. So in order to operationalize this, you have your current team, but maybe you want to, have big ambitions. And in order to achieve that ambition, who do you need to hire? And this can be across company. This can be all the way from marketing. So there's a few, we call them storytellers, creative crusaders, whatever you want to call them. You can have those, but you can also say, hey, I actually need an engineer in my marketing team. I will need a salesperson. I'll need some more support because I'm moving into new countries. I'll need an English-speaking support person. So this is where you can add all those people. Maybe also the founding team, mostly not needed. But this is if you're a founder, this is going to help you out also to calculate the salaries of the founding team. But most of the time you'll say, okay, I need a marketer, an engineer, sales, and 2 support people. You can say, okay, they're full-time, they're in OPEX. This is something I'll explain later on. I'm not going to deep dive in here. And then quick overview of the role and responsibility. What's the yearly salary? When do they start? So depending if you would say, for example, let's say they start in the 3rd month, this will automatically calculate as well. So it will say, okay, January and February, there's no salary. It starts from March 2023. So this will automatically adapt. So let's say the guy will only start on the 5th. So this is going to automatically change based on what you put here. So when the person starts, you can also put an end date. So if you're, okay, this is going to be a short-term mission because I need an engineer or a marketer to solve this specific thing, or a product marketeer, you can add an end date as well, just to run your business case as well. Same thing here. This will give you a dashboard overview, will give you an idea on what's the salaries you'll be paying per month, what's the headcount that you need for your business case, the payroll taxes, the benefits that you have to give your team. And then we go into the 5th one. This is where the magic happens, or not where the magic happens, but this is also automatically pulled, is where the revenue model comes in. So how many monthly new customers are coming into your funnel? How many of them are converting? How many are churning as well? Because we also take into consideration how many people churn per month. So if you have a high churn rate, you'll be able to modify everything you want. And then also, of course, this is going to give you a breakdown per plan. So the plans that we define at the beginning, you'll see them back here, back on, okay, how many basic plan people will have, starting plan, or whatever you want to call them. You'll be able to see the breakdown and also the MRR coming from those plans. So it will give you an idea, not just on how many are converting on general, but also per plan type, and also how many churned per plan type, basically. So this is something you'll be able to modify. There's also some hidden fields here, which you can click open, which I can apparently not click on, but you'll see, you'll be able to break those down if you really want to deep dive into, okay, how much is the expansion MRR? How many people come from, okay, they're already on a plan, I'm just going to grow them into a new plan or expand them, basically. You'll be able to modify those as well. But for now, we just kept it simple here, but you can make it very complicated as well, if you like. This is where we're going to chart building. So this is where all the data is being pulled in. So all the things that you filled in the first 3 tabs, or in the marketing channel, staff, and revenue, is going to be pulled in here. So this is automatically generated from everything you've put in. And then it will give you the dashboards. You can build as much extra dashboards if you like. If you want a dashboard that you don't have, or you want to have it made, we can create that as well. We can just add it to the template. So we highly appreciate if you need any custom dashboard, we'll be able to add it to the community as well. So very happy to do those things. And then basically we would see, okay, what's the new MRR growth base case? With the premium plans, start plans, basic plan, how does that look like in the beginning? When does that look like at the end? So for example, if I put in 120K extra, what is my MRR looking at the end of 2 years, basically? For here, for example, that would be a new MRR is generated 736, basically. So you'll be able to justify a certain budget, say, okay, I need to invest this much money, staff, operational costs, all of these people, and this is the new MRR that's going to grow after 2 years, basically. And then you also be able to see how many of those plans would have to be sold in a new MRR basic case. Once you have that, this is mostly where you'll have to build a slide. So I try to keep them very simple, as in, okay, how much money will I need? Like, what's the staff needed? What's the media and agencies needed? What's the actions that I'm going to implement? How much is that going to cost? So this is basically what I always say the CEO wants. Just give them an overview of, okay, in order to achieve Big Hairy Goal 1 and Big Hairy Goal 2, what's the cost in 2023? What's the cost in 2024? What's the revenue that is going to come out of those months? So this is where you use the charts, so that the CEO can basically see, okay, you'll need X amount of money in 2023, X amount of money in 2024, and total of this. This is what it's going to be spending for. Here's some comments. Who's going to own that budget? And where are we going to channel focus this? On the website, on the resellers, on whatever channels you have. This is the focus points. So this is what you're going to use in a presentation in order to get those extra budgets, or basically justify those budgets to your stakeholders. So this is it. This will give you a quick overview. There's a few tabs: starting position, big hairy goals. This is the breakdown of what you'll get. But if you have any questions, feel free to use a chat or write an email. We'll be happy to answer any questions. Cheers.